6 months ago, had I seen this headline or seen this article, I would have just swiped right by it and gone on to something else. But Kristen turned me on to this TV show, The Bear, which has changed my life.
It's so stinking good. And I mean, you don't have to be a foodie to enjoy it. It's actually quite the opposite because you were not a foodie. But the Bear starring Jeremy Allen White, it's based in Chicago. I would label it a gritty comedy.
It is. It gets dark sometimes. This last season, man, dude's going through it.
Have you gotten to the Christmas episode?
I've seen them all.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's stressful.
Right?
You know, there are some TV shows you watch where they cut it. It's not only the volume of everybody's voice and the intensity of what they're talking about, but the way they cut the scenes also can stress you out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this one is.
So Jamie Lee Curtis plays Jeremy Allen White's mom, and she does a phenomenal job being crazy.
So if you're a new listener, when Kristen says that I'm not a foodie, that's a bit of an understatement. Most of my life, I just didn't care about food. Food for me gets me from A to B. I don't care about taste. I would rather drink than eat. Get me through it. Move on. I start watching this show.
It's fuel, not fun.
It's fuel, not fun. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. This goes under the underlying umbrella right now of me not enjoying the journey and just wanting to get to the destination as fast as I can. Screw the journey. Anyway, when it comes to food now, so now I'm starting to get a little bit curious about it. Like, I don't go to like 5-star restaurants very often, just not my jam. Not exactly sure which fork to even use. They feel stuffy to me, and I just don't like food that much to even appreciate this little dot food that's in front of me.
I mean, Abby and I love food so much. We started our own little food critic review. 2 girls, 1 review. So give us all the dot food. Give us all the phones.
Right.
Give us all the great ambiance. The overpriced beverages. We're in.
Well, we would prefer underpriced beverages, but for now, we'll take the $25 cocktails for the review.
So as I said, I would normally have just gone right over this article, but now it catches my attention because I think when I tell you what this profession is, which is one of the top 5 unhealthiest jobs in America, you'd go, I might still even take it. And that is being a food critic, which to you probably sounds like a great idea.
Heck yeah. I mean, like Top Chef is one of my favorite shows. And I mean, it's essentially judges being food critics throughout the entire show. And I'm obsessed with it. I want them to come to our city so bad. I don't know why they haven't, because I feel like we have a little food mecca here. And I want to be a part of an episode in some way, somehow, even if I'm just going to one of their events so I can eat their food. I'm obsessed.
It's a miserable job. Being a food critic is a miserable job, and it's an unhealthy job. So this dude from the New York Times, I guess he's a very well-known, maybe he's like the Michael Jordan of food critics, Pete Wells, announced that he's going to be resigning from his job after like 12 years. He was one of these guys that gave reviews, but who obviously couldn't show your face, because if a restaurant knows you're in there, they're going to kiss your ass and make your food a little bit different, right? So now people know who he is. And he says that he is letting the industry go for a lack of excitement for the job. He's apathetic about it, and he cited his poor health as the main motive for him taking off. Some of this stuff, all of this stuff, actually, I had no idea about food critics. He says, my scores, his health scores, he went to the doctor to get some blood tests, were terrible across the board. He says his cholesterol, his blood sugar, his hypertension, worse than he had expected, and even in his doomiest moments. Pre-diabetes, fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome were all thrown around. He was technically obese because of how much food he had to eat. And then after he came out and he said, man, this job seems great to everybody else, but it kind of really sucks. A whole bunch of other people, that critics that have left recently also, said the exact same things. So the sheer volume of consumption that restaurant critics have to eat is really, really astounding. I didn't know this.
So they have to eat the whole thing?
More than the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
This is an article, I think, from the New York Times. Not only are they eating out daily, they're often taking down multiple meals on assignment and even doubling down on some. Another critic said he would go on back-to-back dinners more often than he cares to admit. Another one said that they eat, I want to get down to this 36 one. This is the one that blew me away. sometimes they will have like samples of 36 different things on the menu before they actually get to the main meal that they're going to review.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess in order to be fair, like it wouldn't be fair to a restaurant to have one dish and rate the restaurant on that one dish. So I can understand why you'd want to try as many dishes as possible before you either give them a superb rating or you hold, and there's also so much power in a critic's hand, because if you are a well-known critic and a critic that people look up to, you could tank somebody's business.
Oh yeah, their career
you
for
can
sure.
ruin their livelihood.
I've seen Keith Lee do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Keith Lee, the viral food critic that he goes around the world and tries food from different restaurants. And like once he became super famous, it became a little more difficult for him to just go up in people's restaurants and eat.
Is that right?
Because
Sure.
if he gives you a bad review, it's a long day for you.
Some of these people saying I was obese. I didn't even realize it at the time. This guy, something Platt, was saying, one of these critics also, that he's being treated for gout, hypertension, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. It's like the last job you would want. And you have to eat out 6 times a week.
It would take the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Like I love part of the fun of going out to a restaurant, especially like for women, it's like getting dressed up and having a cocktail and enjoying time with your friends, and like the food just makes it better. But then to go and take that experience, which is normally people's recreation, and make it your job,
Right.
it would be miserable.
And they all are.
I have always wondered when you are watching Top Chef and they still have like quite a few chefs, like the show first starts out, and the judges have to eat every single one of their dishes. And I'm like, do we got a puke bucket back there or something?
It's fun when it's your hobby, not so fun if it's your profession, it sounds like.
The Bert Show.